Top 10 Things to Know for Algebra 2 by
Serena,
Tyler.
and Diana. Number 1, factoring.
For this equation, we will use the T-chart method. We have to find out what adds to -8 and what multiplies to -9. And that is +1 and -9, as you see in step 1. In step 2, you factor it into two equations, and then you take that and that, you put those together, and that there, and then boom, magic.
Number 2, transformations.
So the parent function is f of x equals x squared. So the first step is the vertical stretch by 3. So you add the 3 in the parentheses so that it's a vertical stretch. And then you translate it 6 units to the right, and since it's in the parentheses, you have to do the opposite sign to make it go the way that you really want it, and it creates g of x.
Third thing to know for Algebra 2 is segment notation.
Alright, so this will be your function, and you start at k equals 1, and this is going to show where you're going to stop, and for each set or term, you plug in this number for k. So for the first term, you substitute in 1 for k, and you get 5. For the second term, you substitute in 2 for k, and you get 17. For term 3, substitute 3, you get 29. For fourth term, substitute 4, you get 41. For fifth term, you substitute 5, and you get 53.
And blah, 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 so on and so on.
Step 4, logarithms.
Alright, so we want to change this exponential form into log form. So this is the base exponential form, and this is the base log form. And then, so we put the 3, which is a, like there, and then the 5, which is the x, over like that to there, and then that's b, so that goes there, so there.
Number 5, SOHCAHTOA.
SOHCAHTOA stands for the 3 different trigonometry things. S stands for sine, which is opposite over hypotenuse. C stands for cosine, which is adjacent over hypotenuse. And tangent, or the T, stands for tangent, which is opposite over adjacent. And in the equation here, you're trying to find the angle measure for all 3, sine, cosine, and tangent. So when you're finding angle measure, you do the inverse, which is each object to the -1. And so for sine, it's sine of -1 to 5/13, which is 23. Cosine to the -1, which is 12/13, or 23 degrees. And tangent to -1 is 5/12, or 23 degrees.
Quadratic formula, number 6.
So the equation is 3x squared minus 10x plus 3, and the quadratic formula is x equals -b plus or minus the square root of 4b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. A is 3 from the equation, b is -10, and c is 3. So the first step is to plug in all the numbers into the equation. So it's x equals 10 plus or minus the square root of -10 squared minus 4 times 3 times 3 over 2 times 3. The second step is to simplify it further, so it's x equals 10 plus or minus the square root of 64 divided by 6. Simplify one more time, and it's x equals 10 plus or minus 8 over 6. So the answer is 3 or 1/3. Number 7, radicals.
Alright, so we have this equation here, and then we're going to square root it to square it to get rid of the square roots, and then we have that one. And then you put all of them into quadratic form, and then you put it, and then you factor it out, and then equals 8 and -6, but you can't have a negative number as an answer, so it's just 8. Number 8, exponents.
So our equation starting off is 14 times x to the -2nd times y to the 3rd over -8x to the -5th times y to the 5th. And so you would simplify, you would divide the 14 and -8 by 2, and you would have 7 and -4. and then you have to switch x5 and x2 because they're both negative, so they go to opposite sides. And then you leave the y to the third and y to the fifth, and then you simplify. So your answer is 7 times x to the third and negative 4 over negative 4 times y to the second. Number 9, growth and decay multiplier.
We have to increase the function by a constant rate of 7. So step 1, change the 7% to a decimal, which is 0.07. You add 1, and then you decide if it's a growth or a decay, and it is a growth since it's positive, so it's 1.07. Finally, number 10, rationalizing denominators.
All right. So our first equation is 2 over the square root of 3, and we want to times that equation by square root of 3 over square root of 3, and which equals 2 times the square root of 3 over 3. The end.
Have fun.
And good luck.
Boom, magic.